Hey everyone, it's Jerry at the Fledge. Welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. Today I have with us our friend Nicole Dungey from MDOT. How you doing today, Nicole?
I'm great, Jerry. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. You've got a pretty exciting project that I think, or program that you're going to talk about, and you've got a long history of doing just everything. It looks like. So why don't you start by telling us something about yourself and something about what your project, whatever you want to talk about.
Sure. I'm Nicole Dungey, born and raised in Lansing, Michigan, and I currently work for the Michigan Department of Transportation. And before that, I do have quite an extensive history. Um, I graduated from Everett High School. Um, Soon after that, I went to General Motors, just a couple months. I spent 22 years there, in addition to working for Lansing Township Fire as an EMT specialist firefighter, and then went to 911, all in conjunction while working. I took a year off from GM to go do the 911, and then went back to General Motors. All the while, I had a very successful events company called Weddings by Nicole that I owned for 20 years. And I sold that off to one of our lead designers, summer of 18. She's doing very well. It's under a new cover called 1111 Events. And from there, I owned several different wedding companies over the years. I still own four different bridal publications: Lansing Bride, Jackson Bride, Ann Arbor Bride, and Traverse City Bride, and as well as some expos. But back to my MDOT life, that is my current project, and I'm happy to be a representative of the Office of Business Development and how we advocate for both women business and minority business in the Mitten. So I represent the entire state. I share it with my outreach partner, Crystal Parker, and we're both actually assigned to the Detroit office, although I live in Lansing, so I do have an office in Lansing, and as you can see, I'm at home right now, pre and post COVID here, um, with the travel bans in our state and such. So I really recruit women-owned and minority-owned firms and put them in position to be what's called DBE certified, disadvantaged business enterprise, and put them in a position to where they can bid on government contracts, ultimately leveling the playing field, especially in a majority older white male marketplace in the construction field.
So, this is extremely interesting. You also gave me about 50 other things to talk about that you didn't even mention when we were warming up here. So now I've got, 200 more questions for you.
Okay,
But I'm going to stick with the DBE, if I can for a second.
sure.
It sounds wonderful, but it sounds daunting. Like what kind of industry or businesses? Like, is it only construction? Is it toilet paper? Is it
No, that's a
um,
very good question. There technically are over 600 NAICS codes, or what's called NACE codes.
hmm,
So, to simplify and summarize this program, it is a federally funded program that we manage here at the state level at MDOT. And with those 600 plus NACE codes, there are a myriad of MDOT related industry, if you will.
hmm.
Everything from construction, asphalt, paving, bridge construction, sound barrier installation, you name it, all the trades work. So if you can just imagine, we have the Gordie Howe Bridge right now, which is a $1 billion project connecting Michigan to Canada. We have 9 more bridges going in, construction on almost every highway that you can think of. We have new rest areas going in, state police offices. There's just, I mean, because of COVID, we're a little bit behind. So there's actually billions of dollars of projects coming for 2021. And what better way to enhance the minority firm owners, in our state, because there's a certain percentage of each of these contracts that are going to go to a minority owned firm. And the key is to get this word out to the general public in Michigan to make sure that they're taking advantage of this, because the thresholds are within reach. You have to have a 3-year receipt level of 23.98 million or less. and your P&W, your personal net worth, has to be under 1.32 million, and that doesn't include your primary residence. And then either socially and economically disadvantaged, being that you have to be part of an economic group as far as Black American, Hispanic American, Asian American, Southeast Pacific, and all women. So it is achievable. And I think it applies to a lot of our firms in the state. I also come from LARA, which is Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. And, the formation of these firms in our state being in limited liability company, an S Corp, a C Corp, limited liability partnership, nonprofits, and so on, we help them, with our bonding programs and our training programs and assisting firm owners in how to structure the company, as well as taxation and employment and payroll, you name it.
You offer these services now as part of your group or as part of LARA?
Well,
or both?
Speaking from MDOT, but I do have experience in all of that. Plus, I was a business owner for many years. And so all of my training and history and my education, I think, played a role into my current position and assisting, other firm owners. I am also half Hispanic American. So I'm a minority female as well. And I love helping firm owners. There was, we have a success story a couple months ago where one of our African American groups, it was a petroleum-based company. He was a new DBE, newly certified to the state, and he acquired a $20 million contract, within the first 60 days. So those are the kind of things that I just love. That's my reward.
So, all right. So when you say $20 million contract and $1 billion bridge, I'm thinking about the guy down the street with just a truck that, has a wobbly wheel on the back.
Okay.
Are we talking about him? Are we talking?
We are talking about him. And when you think of trucking is the most needed asset in our state. So when you think of the trades groups and how the trades like electricians and plumbers and HVAC and all of these special trades, these welders, custom fabricators, have kind of gone by the wayside, and they're not, LCC's group has diminished, the skilled trades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Their truck driving school has diminished. So Bo Garcia and I'm reaching out to him again to see if we can get that back in order and hopefully, bring it back to the Lansing area. But Detroit has invested recently several millions of dollars in their trade school. I believe that's going to be in the Romulus area, and that's supposed to open spring of 2021, where these school kids, just like we do at the Wilson Talent Center in Ingham County, where they can spend half a day and learn a trade. Maybe they're going to be a dental hygienist, maybe they're going to be a plumber or electrician, into robotics. But all these things are, needed nationwide in our country, let alone our state. So that's kind of, we are talking about that guy. So the trucking, that is a topic and a trade that they don't even need to be pre-qualified. So the guy that has a truck, he owns it. It's US placarded. It's registered with LARA. He's got all of his Michigan registration up to date. He works out of his home office. It's okay. If you meet those thresholds, you're a minority-owned firm or a women-owned firm, and you meet the initial criteria, I want to talk to you.
See, I was going to also mention the female electrician who I know that works out of her house. Is she also? But you kind of already answered that.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, this is super interesting because it's true opportunity. It's not out of reach. I thought, oh man, this is going to be a little out of reach, but there's a lot of people in this neighborhood with these skills or trying to get these skills.
Yeah.
So now you introduced another interesting thing is, you're talking about skills and trades and how we're kind of, we got caught trying to buy our future off from Amazon and we weren't developing the skills that we need. We're not, even the cooking skills, we're not passing down to our kids and we're, just everything, the mentorship. I want to talk to you for like another hour, but we can't do that. So you've got that, which is a huge problem. that I think became, even more apparent when you put, COVID and a pandemic on top of things, and people not even to be able to repair things in their own homes and
Right.
stuff like that. And then you put systemic racism,
Mm-hmm.
or, the long-term erosion or never even acquiring of equity.
Mm-hmm.
And then like George Floyd and all of this, 2020 is like a cross-section for you of a lot of problems that you have to deal with and that you're solving. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, how has 2020 gone? How has it been? Exciting? Has it been stressful?
I think 2020 is something that none of us have ever seen before in our lifetime. I think it's a time of renewal. It's a time of recognition, of understanding those systemic racism problems that are right here in our state. The problems with inequity and inequality, no diversity. There's so many. I come from the Office of Business Development and Business Diversity and Inclusion. And being a minority person myself, I understand and empathize with so many of our Michiganders that are going through various struggles with this pandemic and being displaced from work. Maybe they were displaced not necessarily due to the pandemic, but for other reasons that are, to me, unspeakable. Just
Yeah.
the George Floyd situation and different, discriminatory practices and things, that are alive and well all over our country and even here in our state.
Yeah. I think, so we went to Everett similar time, I think, right? I only went there for 1 year.
Oh,
Then I graduated from Eastern.
okay.
But hey, those guys on Facebook sure do expose themselves as fascists, some of them that we went to school with, huh? So, yeah,
They do.
it's when you grow up, I think, thinking that racism's in the South, and then really realize that it's scattered all over the place in this, I'm saying from a white perspective, not from a
Yeah.
black or brown or indigenous. So your mission's super important. You're very passionate about it. I can tell right now.
I am.
And what's something you do every damn day that pushes you forward in that mission to help beat this, help fight this?
I am very passionate about it, and I think I'm out there daily, 10 hours a day, working vigorously for equality, for diversity, for the underdog sometimes in the case where they are economically disadvantaged, they are socially disadvantaged. So it's not the $1 million companies that I'm seeking out. It's the companies that have the capabilities or prospect, of being a viable company on their own. The whole mission behind our program is for them to grow out of it. We love it when it's just a few years. You come
Yeah.
in well under the threshold. Now you've exceeded 23.98 million in 3 years of receipts. Your P&W exceeded the 1.32 minus your primary residence. You're thriving. You had one truck coming in, you have 20 trucks going out. It's almost like a work smarter, not harder thing.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at these hundreds of government contracts that maybe you didn't know about before, and without the program, you had no means of even bidding. So the various bid platforms and looking at what as a firm owner, what you're capable of and how you would best fit and align yourselves with suppliers, prime contractors, subcontractors, and can walk away, at the end of the day saying, wow, I'm
Is, oops, sorry.
I'm viable.
Is there any particular skill set or trade that or NACE code that you're looking for right now?
I will send you some of the peak ones out of the
Okay.
600 plus that are MDOT specific.
Okay.
MDOT actually has specific NACE codes. So like every industry in the world has a NACE code, NAICS code. And so with that, we even like right now, the essential workers that, are providing personal protective equipment. Maybe it's a face shield, the glasses, the gloves, the aprons. All of that is so critical and needed all the way around the world, especially right here in our state. So I just had like an American Indian owned company from northern Michigan that was on my program the other day. And, I love to see that because things are harder to get in upper Michigan, especially in the Upper Peninsula. And then they are going to cross state lines and they're going to, go state to state. So it's really good to, be able to help them in that regard. But
this is awesome. I thought we would spend more time on your wedding stuff. And because it's kind of like, this is where you're working right now and it's not quite the business, but it's so important in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And it's so entrepreneurial of you to be innovative and creative and get your message out there and get people involved in this program.
Yeah.
And then your passion, you are definitely the right person, You're not just checking the boxes. You're out there making this happen.
Yeah.
And you can just feel it right through the screen.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you.
And so yesterday, Nikita Brunson, who owns Uncovered Beauty Studio, she has a question for you. And her question was, with all of the tension of 2020 and the mission that you're on, what do you do to unplug? What do you do to relax or escape, or what advice?
It's so important to unplug, especially when you've got multiple phones, multiple Zooms, multiple social media platforms to manage. What I do is I am a Christian. I am a faith-based woman. So there's a place called the Valley of Blessing over on the west side of Lansing. I spend a lot of time there. It is a property that's open to the public, and it's on the property of Mount Hope Church at 202 South Kreitz Road. But it is open to the public, and there's waterfalls and music and streaming water and just a place to reflect. And it's actually a replica of the Valley of Blessing, the actual Valley of Blessing in Jerusalem. So that's one thing I do. And I also, I like to be on the water. If I'm not traveling with all these travel bans, of course, I can't travel right now. But I like to get on a pontoon and just float,
That is exactly what she said yesterday, that she needed water. She needed to get to water.
Yes.
Huh.
I agree.
You two should meet each other.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I have Amaru, who is with the Greenwood District Studios. So he's going to sign a lease in time now with the Lansing Mall Theater. That's kind of run down and in the back behind the Lansing Mall, and start to convert that into a Tyler Perry movie studio.
Awesome.
Owned by Black Indigenous people of color, and is also going to recruit people out of the neighborhoods to work there. So have a nice, rich, diverse staff getting into things that seem unobtainable sometimes. So very close to the work and mission that you're doing. What question do you want me to pass on to him?
So let's ask Amaru how he is going to incorporate his mission into the diversity and inclusion aspect of bringing our community together, as far as the actresses and actors, with the studio. And first and foremost, congratulations to him. This is great news for Delta Township, great news for Lansing, great news for Michigan. So I wish him well, first and foremost. But I'd really love to talk with him and see how he's going to, being that I'm an outreach analyst for the state of Michigan, how is he going to do the outreach and gather those people, in, because there's some connectivity with the different organizations, even ours, where you can align yourselves, you can network, and we can pull together the best talent.
That's an amazing question for him. And we'll definitely make a connection.
Awesome.
But I always turn this question on the person that asks it. So
Okay.
now I'm going to ask you basically the same question, but I'm going to do it because we've kind of been talking about it. I'm going to do it just a little different. Give us some outreach advice. How can, if I'm a group that wants to reach out to women or minorities or any group, what's a good strategy for me? What's an authentic strategy? Not I don't want some cheesy, trick. I want something that's authentic.
Right. And, I think when you have a genuine passion and a genuine desire to unify and promote diversity and inclusion, those efforts can be effortless sometimes, but you need to kind of know what channels to go through. So I always encourage, especially new firm owners, to get connected with your local chamber of commerce, your local MEDCs, your local SBAs, your SBCs. So Small Business Administration, do a little research on Lara's website if you want to align yourself with other like companies, maybe as a mentor or just learning from them or visiting websites. Do a lot of research. I know every business I've ever owned over the last 25 years or so, I did countless hours of research. So, do your research, study it. You have to know your industry better than anybody. And, with that brings you power to promote and to cultivate those relationships that are so critically important.
Nicole, you are really amazing. I love the passion. I love the mission. I love the strategy you're using. Thanks for being on our show. And I'm going to ask you something again in a second, but I'm going to take care of my own little self-promotion. Remember to please join or subscribe to the Fledge YouTube channel. Remember that Every Damn Day airs every damn day at 2 p.m. And tomorrow at 9 a.m. we have 99 Problems But a Pitch Ain't One. So either come watch us on YouTube, join our Zoom meeting, or follow our Facebook links to see other ways to watch us. So tomorrow, 9 a.m. And Nicole, anything else you want to leave us with? And yeah.
Vote is at the top of my list. And I would encourage anybody who needs assistance getting to the polls to reach out. Maybe you didn't get your absentee ballot. Maybe you don't feel confident in the absentee ballot process, although they are, Jocelyn Benson is making sure that people have, good recourse and that they're locked up and, they have poll attendance and so on. I personally am going in person. I'm going to wear my mask. I'm going to practice social distancing, and I'm going to vote.
Yeah, great one. Spectacular.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks for being on this. This was a lot of fun, and this was great. And we got to just give a shout out to the bird, but I don't know the bird's name.
This is Max.
Hey, Max. See you later, Max.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.